Hello and welcome to today's yoga practice. This is going to be an all levels, sort of short, get your body moving type yoga practice. Yoga for artists is pretty specific, but that's what I do. And if you do anything that's sort of sitting at a desk in a forward working motion, this practice is just for you. I have a bad habit of just getting really involved in my work and forgetting to step away and doing just a little bit of moving in the opposite direction to keep my body feeling good. So we're going to do that today. It's going to be pretty quick, pretty focused. All you'll need is a yoga block and a yoga mat today. So we're going to need a sticky mat and a yoga block. And let's go ahead and get started. In a comfortable seated position, cross your legs. And if you need to, you can elevate the hips a little bit, but we're just going to start with the hands on the knees and roll through the shoulders a couple of times. Just get some blood flowing in between those muscles in the joints, up in the neck. And make sure that you're breathing as well. Good. Let's just loop through those shoulders nice and big one more time. Good. And then take your right hand over to the floor, up on the right fingertips. And we're trying to reach over to the floor here. Feel a nice open stretch, the collarbones, the shoulders, even in the biceps for me. Good. And then drop the left ear toward the left shoulder here. And we don't just want to bend in the neck, but also extend through the crown of the head. Let's just take one more breath here as we lengthen from fingertips to the crown of the head. Good. And we'll go to the other side. Keep your right fingers right where they're at though. Left fingers to the floor. Roll the head of the left shoulder back. Sit up nice and tall, and then draw the right ear toward the right shoulder. Feel the crown of the head lengthen as you press into those fingers, and that extension is important here. You can feel it right away, can't you? Good. Come on back to center, and let's do that one more time. So draw your left ear toward your left shoulder, but try and press and reach your right palm toward the floor, and just savor the space that's being creative there. Savor that sensation of opening in the neck. Good. And let's do that to the other side. And your palm might not necessarily touch the floor, but you can feel what's happening when you're reaching the palm to the floor. Awesome. So let's go ahead and turn on our mat. If you're not already, we're going to face the length of our mat. Place your hands behind you, and your feet are just going to be hip-width apart or wider if you'd like. Turn your pinky fingers in, so it's almost like your hands are rotating just a little bit more than parallel. And from here, just kind of send the elbows back and squeeze them together. Lift up the heart. This is great. It's like almost the opposite action of what you've been doing all day with those hands in front of you. Feel the heart raise. Savor this sensation. Beautiful. For a moment, just extend through those arms and then parallel those hands. So your fingers don't need to be pointing toward one another, but they will be pointing back behind you. Extend through the legs and maybe scoot your buns forward just a little bit more. And then now with the straight arms, lift the chest and the gaze to the sky. Keep rolling the heads of the shoulders back. See if you can stay long in the neck. Let's just take one more breath here and release. One more similar stretch. You're going to love this one as well. Point the fingers forward now as you're sort of reclining back into straight-ish arms. You can keep the elbows bent if it's too much. Feet underneath, closer to underneath the knees, hip-width apart. And we're just going to press the hips up into the sky. And a little bit of effort here. Those hamstrings and the buns have been asleep while we're sitting on them. So here we are, we're contracting and squeezing, lifting. Still that delicious stretch in the biceps. If you'd like, you can start to let the head hang back as well. Really ignite those legs. Let's take 3 more breaths here as we just let everything in the back body wake up. Let the arms open. final delicious breath, and we come back down to a seated position. Awesome. Facing in whatever direction is most comfortable for you, let's come to our knees for just a moment. If this is too much, you can go back to that cross-legged position. But sitting on your heels, we're gonna sit to the right of our heels, okay? And still sitting up nice and tall. And already we're feeling some length on this side of the body that wasn't there earlier. Reach the left fingers over to the left and the right arm up and into the sky. And then just sort of lean here. And we're really just kind of lengthening the ribs away from the hips. Some openness in the belly as well. And maybe you've experienced while you're sitting some sluggishness in your digestive system. And if that's the case, if you've ever experienced this, lengthening through the belly is really, really helpful for that. So let's just take one more breath in this position. We're gonna stay here and then place your right palm behind your head, and just a little bit more opening rises up into the shoulders and the armpit and the triceps. Let's take 2 breaths here. And then come on back to center. We're gonna stay here in this position on our hips. Place your right palm down to the floor. Step your left foot long and away. We're gonna keep the right knee on the floor. And then just lift here, a nice length for all sides of the body. Take 2 breaths. And then come on down. Same thing, other side. Sitting to the left of your heels here. Sit up nice and tall and just connect the left hip firmly to the earth. Reach the right fingers over to the right and lift the left arm up and into the body. And just assess, don't judge, assess which side feels a little bit tighter, drawing awareness to which side seems to be just a little more bound than the other can be really helpful in the future when you're looking to just intuitively stretch. So if you're on this side and you're like, whoa, this side is so much tighter than the other, just consider staying here a little bit longer. So whatever side is tighter. Lengthen for 1 more breath. And then just like the other side, place the left hand behind the head and encouraging a little bit more opening in the shoulder, the tricep. Good, good. And then rise back up. Left palm to the floor. Right leg extends to the back of the mat. Left knee stays down. Lift the hips. Turn toward the ceiling and lengthen here. Make sure you're not just sagging into that supporting arm, that you're actively pressing open and back. And then come on back to center. I just realized that I'm still wearing my art clothes. This is not how I dress every single day, except if I'm going into the art room. Just a few more stretches here, and then we can get back to work. Again, facing the long way on your mat. A couple of options here. Draw your left knee into your chest. With the left hand behind you, supporting you nice and tall, we're gonna wrap the right arm around the front of the knee, sitting up nice and tall, and then just helping yourself to a nice generous twist here. So those outer hips can get real tight when we're sitting, and right now we're just gonna help those open along with a nice tall spinal twist. And start to take the gaze maybe behind you just a little bit more. And that's just a little movement in the cervical spine. We don't necessarily want to force much beyond what feels like new activity here in the neck. So not so much trying to strain the neck as you are just a new perspective, new shape for the neck. And when you're ready, come on back to center and we'll switch sides. So the left leg extends, the right knee draws in, the right finger's back behind you, and first find that tall spine. Wrap your left arm lovingly around that leg. Sit up nice and tall. And again, gazing as far to the right as your neck would like to. Beautiful. Then come on back to center. Excellent work. Let's grab our block. It's going to assist us in the next couple of poses. Coming back to the back of the mat with your hands and knees down, you're going to step your right foot far, far forward, okay? And then from here, just working a little bit on opening the psoas. That's the muscle that connects the low back to the front of the femur bone and can get really tight and compressed when we're sitting for a long time. So it's important to address that muscle because it also rests on top of the kidneys and other lower abdomen organs, which can cause even just a little like psychological stress and stress on the body. So we're working that open here as our left knee is down, but we want to target it just a little bit more. So let's place our hands onto our knees here, but we're not going to sit up tall. Lean forward, and as you do so, press the hips forward, that's the pubic bone forward, and draw the low back behind you, looking down, and press down firmly into that back foot. Toes can be flipped just like mine are here, or the top of the foot. Either way, we want to be actively drawing down, press down into that foot. Lift the low belly and the back behind you. Let's just take one more breath here, and then start to release, and you can already feel that sensation a lot. Heel toe that right foot over to the right so that both hands can comfortably come down to the floor, and that right shoulder is inside of the right knee here. With the left palm over to the left so that you can just generously lean into it, we're going to place our right hand on our right knee. Peel the heart and belly open, and then just sort of gently guide that right knee away from you here, any amount. So if your hips are really flexible and you can get that knee super wide, go ahead and do that. But if you're still just kind of nursing those hips open, just be real gentle here. Let's lift through the heart. One more breath. And then go ahead and release. Take that right foot back to the center of the body where we started and straighten through the right leg here. Now this is where your block comes in handy. If you're having a really hard time straightening through the right leg, the block is a nice way to give yourself some generous length upward. Good. Let's just take one more breath here. Awesome. And we're going to switch sides. Stepping your left foot really, really far forward here. Good. So we have our right knee has its own lane of traffic, but we have a relatively narrow stance. Hands to the knee. Press down into that back foot. Send the hips forward a lot, and then round through the spine. Even tuck the chin and look downward into the belly, and notice if your belly is nice and engaged. Good. Make sure that you're breathing here too. Most of the time, when we're really focused on our work, when we're really absorbed in our work, sometimes our breath can become very shallow, or even we hold it. So use this as an opportunity to just connect with your breath again. Let's take one more big breath in here. And then let's take both of those hands inside of the left foot. Take the left foot out wide. Left shoulder is just nicely snuggled into the inner left knee. Take the right palm over to the right a little bit, leaning into the right hand, turning your heart to the left. Hips are just shining forward as well as the heart. Beautiful. One more breath. And let's come back to center. So our final stretches for the psoas, and this one in particular, you're going to love. You can stay here as long as you like. I'm just going to rotate my mat so that you can see what this one looks like. Now my mat is for my heels, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and come down off of my mat. You'll see my buns are off of my mat here. And I'm going to lower all the way to the floor. Picking up my hips, I'm going to place the block on probably its lowest height underneath my hips. And then take my heels as wide apart as I can get them for now. And this sticky mat is going to help to hold my heels wide. So if you're on socks or on a wood floor or something, the heels might slide in. Even if you're on carpet, it's going to come in just a little bit. So these sticky mats are really, really advantageous to holding your feet in place. And then from here, take the arms out to the side. And this is just sort of a supported upward facing star pose. And you can really feel just the gradual opening in the inner thighs. The psoas, again, is getting a whole lot of opening. Those hip flexors that are closed up tight when we're sitting in our chair really just get a brand new space, brand new perspective. Feels really good. And again, you can stay here as long as you'd like. Sometimes I'll stay here for even 10 minutes when I know that I've been sitting a lot in one day. But if you're ready to let go of this posture, you're going to draw the knees in together, feet underneath the knees, pick up the hips and move the block out of the way. And then just sit up. So thank you for joining me today for this just all levels, really good way to just move your body. If you haven't invested in any yoga props and you plan on practicing at home, I do encourage that you just get at least one block and a really good sticky mat, maybe a few other things. Okay guys, namaste. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day.